A blinding white light exploded across the awards stage. A scream echoed from somewhere in the audience, followed by gasps that rippled like a storm through the hall. The cameras stuttered, the music halted, and for a heartbeat, the entire world held its breath. Young Mei Mei had dropped the trophy she had won. Gold shattered against polished marble, the crash piercing the silence with a terrifying finality. The shock wasn't because of the fall, but because of what she had just said moments earlier. Words that detonated across the celebrity-packed hall like fireworks igniting a minefield. Her voice, shaking yet unstoppable, had spilled a truth the world never expected to hear on such a night. A truth drenched in years of secrecy, stolen glances, and love buried beneath scripts and media pressure. Yu Long stood frozen in the first row, his heart pounding so loudly he wondered if the microphones would pick it up. Everyone was staring, not at the broken trophy pieces scattered across the stage, but at her. At the woman who had just destroyed the invisible wall between fiction and real love. She raised her trembling chin, eyes locked fiercely on his, as though daring the world to challenge what she had confessed. Spotlight heat mixed with fear, yet she refused to look away. She had finally chosen him. And no storm, no rumor, no camera could make her step back now. Young Mei Mei didn't care that millions watching live were probably replaying her words in disbelief. She didn't care about the reporters who were already crafting headlines or the executives ready to panic backstage. Tonight wasn't about the industry. It was about the man whose love had saved her from drowning in loneliness. It was about the truth she could no longer cage. Her lips parted again, softer this time but filled with the same unstoppable courage. "He is not just someone I admire," she spoke into the microphone, voice steadying. "Yu Long is the man I love, my partner, and my future husband." A wave of shock surged through the arena. Some fans screamed, others clapped wildly, and a few sat paralyzed by disbelief. Even those who spent years shipping them couldn't have imagined a confession this bold, this public, this real. Yu Long's breath caught. The world blurred around him. He remembered every moment that led them here. The drama set where they first met, the stolen smiles, the jealousy that struck him whenever another actor held her hand for a scene. He remembered the night he followed her into the storm when fame had nearly crushed her spirit. He remembered how tightly she held on to him as though he were the only thing keeping her alive. He remembered the promise he whispered as lightning cracked above them. "I will always find you." Back then they were terrified, both of love and of losing each other to fame's cruel hands. Agencies demanded silence. Fan wars erupted online. Paparazzi hunted like wolves. To protect her, Yu Long chose shadows instead of sunlight. But now, he realized the woman he loved had chosen light instead. She was standing alone on that massive stage, calling him not by his professional name, not as a co-star, but as her beloved. He could no longer stay seated. Every step he took toward her felt like walking into destiny. His legs trembled. His chest ached as if his heart was trying to escape to reach her faster. When he climbed the stairs, the hall quieted again, everyone hanging on what would happen next. Young Mei Mei blinked away tears, terrified yet the strongest he had ever seen her. He approached her slowly, took her cold hands into his warm ones, and lifted the microphone with a breath that shook the universe. "I thought loving you secretly would protect you," he began, his voice raw with emotion. "But hiding only hurt us more. You deserve a love that stands proudly in front of the world." Her tears slipped free. His thumb brushed them away gently. "So tonight I choose you too." His lips curved into a smile meant only for her. Forever. The crowd erupted. The hall shook with applause and cheers that drowned out every doubt that once plagued them. She tried to speak, but words failed, so she simply leaned forward and pressed her lips to his. It was not a dramatic television kiss. It was pure, real love finally unmasked before the world. Her arms wrapped around his neck. His hands slid to her waist instinctively, anchoring her to him as if he'd never let her go again. Flashbulbs exploded. Fans screamed. Production staff forgot their jobs. The internet without question broke. They remained pressed together until applause softened into emotional silence. When they parted, Yu Long lifted the trophy she dropped earlier. He placed it back in her hands delicately, with a look that silently said, "You deserve the world and more." She smiled, still breathless from the kiss. "We've kept this love hidden for too long," she whispered, only loud enough for him. "Never again," he promised. Backstage chaos ensued. Their managers panicked, phones vibrating non-stop with incoming calls from directors, sponsors, and executives. But the couple walked hand in hand past everyone, ignoring conflicts that could wait until morning. What mattered now was them. Finally free, finally truthful, finally together. Journalists pounced like hungry lions the moment they appeared in the media zone. Questions bombarded them. When did this begin? Was it a publicity stunt? When is the wedding? Yu Long only laughed softly, pulling Mei Mei closer into his side in a protective embrace. "We've loved each other quietly for a long time. Tonight, the world became part of our story." She smiled shyly and lifted her hand slightly, revealing a delicate ring they had kept hidden for months. "Soon," she added. "You will hear wedding bells soon." The hall burst into new chaos. Fans fainting online, comments racing, hearts melting everywhere. When they finally escaped to their car, the doors shut and silence wrapped around them like a warm blanket. She let out a long, shaky breath. He looked at her the way one looks at the most beautiful miracle fate ever gifted. "You were so brave," he whispered. "You were my strength," she replied. Their foreheads touched. The driver waited, but they wanted a moment longer. Just them and the truth now breathing freely between their lips. After everything, after storms, rumors, fear, love had won. Outside, the world screamed with excitement. But inside that car, they were simply two hearts that finally stopped pretending. Her hand slipped into his, fingers intertwining like they were designed to fit only that way. "Forever," he said again, not as a promise but a declaration. She nodded, eyes shining like stars reborn. "Forever," she echoed. Their story began as just another casting choice, then became a secret romance hiding behind scripts. And now, they were no longer co-stars performing love. They were soulmates living it. From that night on, every camera would see what their hearts had always known. Yu Long and young Mei Mei were fate's perfect match. And the world was finally invited to witness their forever. Yu Long still held her hand as the applause thundered across the hall like a celebration created by destiny itself. Yet even with the cheers shaking the walls, he could feel the trembling in her fingertips. Fear, adrenaline, love, all tangled together. He leaned close, voice lower than the microphone could catch. "Are you sure?" he asked gently. Young Mei Mei turned to him with eyes that shimmered like crystal struck by moonlight. "I have never been more sure of anything," she breathed. "You are the only truth I want." It hit him deeper than any award ever had. He squeezed her hand, reassuring her, reassuring himself, and guided her off stage, shielding her from the glare of cameras crowding closer. Security rushed to create space, but every lens followed their movement as though terrified to miss a second of history. Behind them, the ceremony continued. Hosts scrambling to recover, pretending the night hadn't just been rewritten by love. But everyone knew. The awards were no longer the main event. Yu Long and young Mei Mei were. Backstage was chaos. Phones vibrated. Agents panicked. Assistants whispered as they ran in frantic circles. Yet the lovers walked slowly, deliberately, savoring the peace that finally existed between them. "You dropped your award," Yu Long teased softly. She laughed, that sweet, familiar laugh that once rescued him from the darkest days. "I finally confessed my love to the world. A trophy can break. My heart can't." He stopped, turned her to face him. His eyes searched hers, searching for the girl he once found crying beneath a storm. She was still there, but now she was stronger than lightning. "You didn't just confess," he said. "You fought for us. And you chose us," she replied. They were seconds away from kissing again when the backstage coordinator nearly crashed into them, panting. "Why you two? Interviews. Press conference. Everything is changing, sponsors." Yulong held up a hand, silencing the panic. "Not now." The coordinator gulped but understood. Tonight wasn't for damage control. It was for love. He led Mei Mei toward a quieter hallway, far from the noise. The lights here were softer, the world slower, time kinder. She leaned against the wall, catching her breath. Not from running, but from feeling so exposed. "You're shaking," he murmured. "I confessed my entire heart in front of millions. My body is still processing the insanity of it," she joked, though her voice cracked slightly. Yulong stepped closer and wrapped his coat around her shoulders, just like that stormy night years ago. "You're safe," he whispered. Her eyes softened. "With you. Always." Then footsteps. Her manager stormed in like a thundercloud ready to strike. "What were you thinking, Mei Mei? Do you know what you just caused? The press is exploding. We had plans, agreements, contracts. I had love," she cut in sharply. The manager blinked, stunned by the fire in her voice. Yulong stepped beside her, protective and unshakable. "She doesn't owe anyone an apology for loving me. Not even the industry." Her manager glared but saw the unity, the unstoppable force standing in front of him, and backed off with a defeated sigh. "We'll talk later," he muttered before leaving. Mei Mei exhaled slowly. "That felt good." Yulong chuckled. "You should see your face. Fierce." She lifted her chin proudly. "I am protecting what matters." "And what is that?" he asked playfully. She didn't hesitate. "You." His heart shattered beautifully. He pulled her into his arms, tight, grounding. She buried her face into his chest, inhaling the scent that always reminded her of stability, of love, of home. But the peace didn't last long. A soft gasp caught their attention. A young makeup artist stood nearby, wide-eyed, shaking, smiling like she just saw a modern fairy tale unfold. I've always believed in you too," she stuttered. "Thank you for not giving up." Mei Mei smiled warmly. "Thank you for cheering for us." The girl rushed off, likely going to scream to her friends in excitement. Yulong looked at Mei Mei with newfound awe. "Do you realize how much courage it takes to love someone in front of the whole world?" Her eyes glistened. "Do you realize how much pain it takes not to?" Silence fell, deep, understanding silence. She lifted her hand and traced his jawline, memorizing him all over again. "I don't want to love you in hiding anymore," she whispered. "My heart has waited long enough." His hand covered hers. "Then let the world watch," he vowed. "We'll give them a love story they'll never forget." A crew member poked his head around the corner. "They're calling you both on stage again for the group winner's photo." Yulong nodded. The moment was temporary, but the change it sparked was permanent. He took her hand once more. "Walk with me," she smiled. "Wherever you lead." They stepped back into the spotlight, this time side by side, not as co-stars assigned to stand near each other, but as lovers claiming their place in history. Photographers yelled their names, cameras firing like lightning strikes. And instead of awkward poses or professional distance, Yulong slid his arm around her waist. Young Mei Mei leaned into him naturally, beautifully, like they'd been sculpted together by destiny's hands. Gasps rippled. Heartbeats raced. The world understood. This wasn't a one-time confession. It was a declaration. 2 careers, 2 lives, 2 hearts, finally one story. When the flash frenzy ended, they shared one more private second. He whispered into her hair. "We survived the storm. Now we get to enjoy the sunshine." She looked up at him, love pouring from every part of her. "And I'll never let go of your hand again." They smiled, the kind of smile two people share only after fighting the world together. Then, as they walked off again, the audience, both in the hall and watching around the globe, embraced one single truth. Their love wasn't a rumor. It was real, undeniable. And forever,